This is Violet Newby inviting you to join me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. This episode is intending to fight. Yesterday we talked about being kind, and I think that it is a worthwhile goal in life to learn to be extremely kind. But let me tell you, sometimes there are things that are worth fighting for, and you better get ready. Do you intend to fight for what is right? Do you intend to fight for your children's very lives? Do you intend to fight for what is best for your children? When you're at work and there's a position coming up, are you intentional about fighting to get that position? I don't mean like punching the other guy or the other woman in the face. I mean working extra hours, being very diligent in your work, making sure that everything that you do is done extremely well, and being sure that your boss notices that. Um, Playing really hard as a team player when you're looking to be in management. Do you fight for that place? Do you fight for your marriage when things are kind of in the doldrums and it's been a year or two and you don't date anymore and you hardly talk and you barely have anything to do with each other physically? Do you just like let it go as unimportant even after 8 or 10 or 12 years? Or do you fight for that marriage, for that love, for that relationship? Do you intentionally fight for some things that are important to you? I have to tell you, I have really met people that are so passive and, oh, come see, come saw, whatever. Yeah, they don't fight for much. It's just whatever, and they're like a stone that the waters keep running over. I, I, I don't know. It's really incomprehensible to me how someone can be that passive, but I've definitely seen it. People who don't fight for much. But I want to ask you today, what is important enough to you that you intend to fight for it? One of the illustrations I used yesterday was a young woman who was not given the part in a theater production at her school because some of the people in the drama department were extremely, I'll use the word, political, and they chose the person who had, I guess I'll use the word, associations with the school board, people in power, who squawked like a frog rather than choosing this young woman with an extraordinarily beautiful voice. Should the parents fight this? Maybe. I can't really say it. It's their decision. But I also know of another parent whose student was pretty badly beaten up, severely enough that both of his forearms were broken. And yet, the school board was absolutely refusing to discipline the child who did it, although this kid whose arms got broken got expelled from school. Granted, he'd been a troublemaker, but I'm pretty sure we talked a number of times. I don't think he started this fight. I think this other kid was significantly larger than him and quite a bully, but that kid did not get expelled. And furthermore, the school wasn't going to pay for this. And it happened on the school grounds, and it was, in fact, because someone didn't stop the fight because there was a teacher reasonably nearby. Yeah, this parent fought the school board and fought them hard until they paid the medical bills, at least. Some things you want to fight for. You decide, you make up your mind, it's going to take you time and energy and trouble and emotional turmoil, and it's worth the fight. That's why I'm asking you today, what is worth fighting for? Now, some people just love to fight. They're going to fight about every little thing. They're like born to be a fighter, you just, yeah, you can just see it in them. That's an awful lot of emotional energy and an awful lot of trouble to go through to make everything a fight. Somewhere in here, we need to have balance. So, as parents, our kids, and I really earnestly believe this, need to know that we will, in fact, fight for them when the time is right. Here's the thing, you need to let your kids know that they mean so much to you, that they are worth the fight when the right situation arises. Everything isn't a fight. Everything doesn't need to be a fight, but when something comes up and they need an advocate, you will fight for them. You will stand with them and defend them. I've heard a lot of men say, "Yeah, I would gladly take a bullet for my wife or my kids." Sure, you will, because that one time bullet, then it's over, right? But it's the daily fight. So, this fight, dads, I'm not saying moms, you're not included in this, but I've just heard it so often out of guys. I'm going to have this conversation with dads. Dads, are you really willing to fight for your family on a daily basis? In other words, you go to work and you provide for them, and you think that money, a roof over their heads, and something in their stomach is enough from you? Because I really want to let you know it isn't. Okay? So, are you willing to fight day after day after day to fight your own selfishness? When I get home, honey, I'm just going to sit down and go to my man cave, and you need to give me a couple of hours. Really? Because I have news for you. Your kids probably need a couple hours out of you, but you're going to be selfish. You aren't going to fight against your own selfishness so your kids, who desperately need you, can have you. Hey, Dad, let's go shoot some hoops. Hey, Dad, will you take me to the mall? Hey, Dad, can we hang out for a while? Man, I'm so tired. It was really a hard day, and I still have all these reports to finish. And wow, are you fighting against your own selfishness? Are you fighting against your own tendency to go, I need, I need, I need? So that what your child needs from you is what's going to happen? Do you intend to take the bullet for your family? Not the one time somebody shoots you in the chest bullet, but the day after day after day, little acts of dying to your own selfish needs in order that you can meet the needs of your children. I understand you might be mad at me and you might need to write me some stuff. Please do, okay? Because I really intend for you to be a good parent, not to love me, just so you know. Mom, do you intend to fight for your family? I mean it. It's a very fair, reasonable question. Well, sometimes I think my husband's really hard on the kids, and I've seen him slap my kids around, and I know he's really hard on my son. I even saw him punch him once in the stomach, but like wow, hello, for real? Do you intend to fight for your children? Do you intend to fight for your children enough to say, honey, that is inappropriate behavior, and it is not anything I can respect, nor is it good for our family. Our children are really angry with you. Do you want our kids to grow up and be angry with you? Or do you want your son to grow up and punch his wife or punch his kid? Would you find that something that you would respect as a man? Yeah, sometimes you do have to fight things that are challenging to fight for the well being of your children and the well being of your family. And you know what, Mom? You might have to fight things like, well, today I had a headache and I'm so tired, so we're not going to eat today. I mean, we'll have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Wow. For real? So you can't fight against your own personal struggles in order to provide for and care for your family in ways that uniquely belong to you. I'm not saying occasionally this can happen, but I've seen people who've done this for months on end. And they just had excuse after excuse after excuse. Well, my family's fine. No, their family was not fine. And they were not fighting against their own selfish impulses and their own poor, pitiful me party for a long time. And I'm not talking severe depression. I'm just talking a general, overall, lousy, selfish attitude that kept this person from caring for their family. And don't tell me it's never happened to you, because I'm actually not that naive nor not that unreasonable about things. All of us have bad times. I've had them, really and truly. This is why I can say this to you. It is a fight with our own selves sometimes to do the right thing. But are we really, truly, intentionally fighting what is worst in us and what is terrible in the world to bring what is best to our families and to our children? If our children see us willing to fight, get that spark in our eye, and fight against that which is hurting them or even hurting us, they will start to understand there are some things in this world that are worth fighting for. I want you to figure out what is worth fighting for. Is your family worth fighting for? Are your children worth fighting for? Is an amazing, close, nurturing attitude with your children and your spouse something that is worth fighting for? If it is, learn how to fight. Thank you so much for joining me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. I want to put a caveat in here. Some people just fight the world. One of my parents was one of those kind of people. It was really tough being that person's child. I have a good friend, and he's broken his hand on more than one occasion because he was born to fight. He was always fighting in bar fights, and he would just fight with anybody. He's not a really big guy, and now he's in his 60s. And he shared with me recently, he said, "You know, Miss Violet, I'm sorry I didn't learn earlier a little bit about self control and that not everything needs to be a fight. I want you to understand every single thing in life, including our place as we instruct our children as parents, is to help them understand balance. There are things we should fight for, and not everything is a fight." If you're struggling with this, I'd really appreciate an email from you. I would love to discuss this with you further. But remember, some things really are worth fighting for. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.